Welcome back, my fellow Empyreans. We are going to continue our discussion about how the EVE Online game is both simultaneously dying and doing just fine in a very Schrodinger cat kind of way. That's CCP's agenda. Out with the old and in with the new, who they can monetize. Well, first of all, they monetized us old guard just fine. I don't know why the new people would be more monetizable than us with like massive investments already made. But yeah, I think that there's a certain point where, you know, it might be safe to say like, hey, if you're going to quit over this, then you're not the kind of person that we need influencing our game. Right? Like that. I mean, like just on the surface, like removing all of the details of the situation, you could definitely see an online game doing that. Right? Like if you're so toxic that you're going to rage out over something that may or may not be something small, it could be reasonable for them to conclude that they don't want to cater to you. They don't want to bend over backwards to have you remain part of their game. They don't want to continue to be held ransom or hostage by a community that will use this kind of threats to influence the game, especially when the influence that they're putting into the game and the things that they're demanding are demonstrably bad for the overall health of the game. You see what I'm saying? It's not all bitter vets. It's just the people who, for years we have had people who quote unquote know what they're talking about saying things. And one of the things that's been happening over the last couple of years is that a lot of our assumptions that we just purported to be true without much challenge have been challenged. And some of them ended up being important and some of them ended up being less important. I can definitely understand that sentiment, Manic. But like, my point is that, so let's give some finite examples, okay? I'm going to call out Manic, I guess, as an example, right? If you're going to quit the game just because new bros can catch up with skill points, then you are taking that back in my day, uphill both ways in the snow to an extreme degree. And it's the equivalent of, like your girlfriend saying like, it's either Eve or me, or it's either the cat or me, or whatever it is, right? Like it's an ultimatum. So, either you keep Eve the way I want it to be, or, or I leave. Well, again, when you combine that with the fact that it's like, I want other people to have it as hard as I had it, but they have the additional difficulty of having me already having been ahead of them, and therefore it isn't quite the same. But I'm going to, because I had to struggle through it, I expect them to have to struggle through it, and if they don't have to, I'm going to get mad. Like, I understand the sacred cow part of things, but I hope that you can at least see how it can be taken that way too. You get what I'm saying? So likewise, oh my God, industry now requires some PI to build battleships. If that's what, like, EVE is a game that is celebrated for how difficult and complicated it is. The only reason why you don't think that it's not normal for battleships to require this PI and all that stuff is just because it wasn't that way before. But there's no reason why it wouldn't be, right? Like it's just it's designed. It's not designed to make it like overly complicated. It's not designed. They're not requiring some doodad that's part of a gotcha mechanic in order to make battleships now. No, they added more complexity in a game that is prided on its complexity and our ability to work within the systems, right? We don't get rid of hauling. We don't have free hauling contracts because the act of logistics is part of the game. The act of by that notion, all Tech 2 shouldn't require reactions. Oh my God, reactions are too complicated. No. Eve's hard. Eve has requirements. Industry has a lot of different considerations. Supply lines, personnel, workforce, market considerations. This doesn't change that. What it does is it allows more niches to exist, as people must specialize their lines more in order to get particular things. It gives people different things to aim for, besides just being told, you know what frustrates me the most about all of this bullshit about T1 industry? Since I was joining the game, the wisdom that has been told to me is that T1 is not profitable. T1 has never been profitable. There's always been, I mean, like, if it is, it's on the margins, right? Like, there's very limited opportunities for like, you don't pump out Tristans and to make your fortune. There are people that think that minerals are free, that are providing those for super cheap. That's never been the point. T2 is no longer the insane profit margin, but that's more to do with the fact that, like, T2 Moongu has become easier to get again. Reactions from Moongu require different moons. It requires cooperation. No. Not battleship reactions. T2 reactions, yes. Battleship reactions, no. Invention fixed T2 productions. Well, that's a good example. Like, for T2 productions, it's not just about knowing which ones you want to do. It's not just about inviting the right things, but like each one of them, each T2 thing requires different Moongu materials. And therefore, if switching from one T2 product to a different T2 product isn't just a matter of having the correct blueprint, you basically have to retool your entire supply line in order to make it work. Right, battleships require R4 reactions. Technically, yes, because you need ore from all three parts of space. Trade is an essential component in EVE Online. You're not Gory Xander. Just because you don't personally go and mine the nullsec ore doesn't mean it isn't available to you. That's the whole freaking point of a market. No one should be an island. HiSec only gets 3 minerals. How do you reward the people that are willing to mine in the more dangerous areas? How do you reward people that are mining in low-sec and Pochvin if there isn't minerals that must be acquired there? You live in an island. That doesn't mean you are an island. No man is an island. I buy moon mats and build T2. I just do reactions for profit and for production. See? Yeah. All of this bullshit about, like, oh, I can't do it all myself. Like, you pretty much couldn't before. It's never been the expectation. I'm an island and so is my wife. Yes, you could. What? What could you? Because you can still do battleships and down. Why should I have to interact with other space nerds? Because you're not playing No Man's Sky. You're playing EVE Online.